Welcome to this edition of Cup Chat with Birding with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. Today, Maureen and I just talk a little bit and also discuss turkeys as we wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cup Chat with Birding with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. I'm not even gonna lie, it's kind of a rough morning. I woke up late. Maureen, did you wake up late?
On time, but it still felt super early.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're glad that you are joining us. If you are joining us, please put your comments. Comment the county you are joining us from or the state if you are outside of Texas in the comments of this video here on Facebook Live, or if you're watching the recorded version, please comment on YouTube. So today I'm wearing my Thanksgiving shirt. Well, it's my half Thanksgiving shirt. I couldn't find my turkey shirt, and so we have a family tradition, Maureen, to always wear themed shirts for the holidays, and so we weren't going to do anything for Thanksgiving this year. And then at the last minute, we decided that we were all comfortable enough with our quarantining and safe selfing is that, and my sister's not coming down from like Virginia. So we're going to randomly eat lunch. And so really quickly, I had to order all these Thanksgiving t-shirts, and so thankful that I got them all on time. But those have turkeys on them this year, but this one, leopard print pumpkin. So my half Thanksgiving shirt.
I'm just, this one's not Thanksgiving at all, but I just figured it was, it's actually almost more Christmassy. I've kind of got some Christmassy colors going on, so maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit.
You're just hoping that we could get to Christmas. Also, I have a few announcements to make this morning. In today's Cup Chat, we are talking about turkeys, and there's a reason we're going to talk here in a second, but I have a few announcements to make. One, we only have 2 spots left, and Maureen doesn't know this yet. We only have 2 spots left in our beginner track for Birding the Border. So if you are interested in the beginner track with our guide, Bill Stain, make sure you get registered soon. I'm going to post that online today. So you are hearing it first. Facebook post is going to come later. But it'd be super cool if we were full on our beginner track before Thanksgiving. But only 2 spots left. Please, please, please get registered if you're interested. And then the next thing, I know we're not really supposed to do commercials for companies, but Maureen, I have to tell you what I started doing yesterday. Okay. For anyone who's been to all of our programs, y'all know that I own a lot of decorating things and lots of tablecloths. And I found this new company, and it's really just they are a company, but they're not here in Del Rio or in Texas. They're social media, and they're called The Home Edit. They also have this Netflix show. And so my goal between Thanksgiving and Christmas, well, maybe I should say between Thanksgiving and New Year's, is to organize all of my birding decor things.
So this is not just a decorating, it's an organizing.
No, yeah, they're strictly organized.
Oh, strictly organizing. Okay.
Yeah, they are. Well, they like to do organization pretty.
Right.
But they are strictly organizational. So if you need some organizational inspiration, check out The Home Edit. That's what I've been doing. So.
Okay, see, when you were telling me about that earlier, I was thinking it was like the home edit as in like how you redecorate, but it's about how you organize so that everything looks prettier. Got it. Okay.
Well, and they go through a whole process, and really when you organize, you go through that process. I guess they just made it famous. But like we got a new fridge, and so I organized the fridge when it came in, and you would be amazed on how many condiments you have that you don't use. Like I keep hamburger pickles in the fridge. We don't eat hamburgers here either anyways, and we don't eat pickles. They were expired in 2018. It's time for them to go.
Yes.
But anyway.
So I bet your new fridge is wonderful then.
It is. I mean, it wasn't fun to pay for, but
no,
like all fresh appliances, it's pretty to look at.
Yeah. So nice.
I can't even fill it. That's the problem. It's 10 times bigger than my old fridge. I feel like it's sad and lonely. There's only like 5 things in the freezer right
now. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You need more ice cream or something.
Oh, yeah. But see, keeping sweets in my house is a bad recipe for a
No,
bad combination. I actually almost posted, which I don't think I ever actually posted, the picture of the, what did I make? Banana pudding that I made for Learn to Bird
Oh yeah.
on Instagram last night because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. I don't think I ever posted it. I wonder what everybody's eating for holiday desserts. But I decided to go with our cliff swallow who is hiding in his hole because after this, I'm going to go hide in the office and wait for 5 o'clock to get here. Well, I mean, I'm going to work, but I just don't know that it can come soon enough.
You will feel like the cliff swallow.
I will feel like the cliff swallow in its hole, trying to just survive and make it. But okay, so we're supposed to actually talk about turkeys today.
Which is something you can put in your freezer, by the way. I was just thinking about that.
No, actually, it's in my refrigerator. If you wanted to defrost your turkey for Thanksgiving, if you are just now putting it in your fridge, you are in trouble. So I took my turkey out on Sunday, put it in the fridge so it can safely defrost.
And I forgot we're already to Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and I'm not in charge of the turkey this year, so
Thank God, because
yeah,
you would be in
it
trouble.
would still be in the freezer.
Now, Maureen, let's kind of break this down as we talk turkeys. There are 3 types of turkeys in Texas.
Yes.
So that didn't seem like a for sure answer.
Well, there's really, so let's just talk about turkeys in general. Let's break down the turkeys. So
oh wait. And last week we talked about not shooting birds, and now this week we're going to be talking about shooting and eating birds.
Definitely.
Come on, let's talk about the difference there. Why are all birds not created equal?
Okay. Well, first let's
Turkeys
talk about
matter.
First, let's talk about species of or types of turkeys, and then let's talk about why we shoot turkeys. Does that work?
Yeah,
we got to clear up the how many types are there thing. So I would say there are 3 types of turkeys in Texas.
I know I'm right.
First off, broadly speaking, we need to break down between the fact that there are domestic turkeys and wild turkeys. And so Emily knows more than I do about domestic turkeys because she knows more about domestic livestock.
Fun fact, why are domestic turkeys white?
I have no idea. I'm assuming that's just the color that turned out as they were bred for other traits.
Bred for other tricks.
Yeah. No, traits. Traits.
Oh, I thought you said tricks. I was like, maybe they do flips or something. I missed it. No. Oh, sometimes I like it when there's no guest host and really no rules. So, yeah, but turkeys are white because, and for one, probably there is some that's kind of how they just turned out. But if you think about all of our poultry that is raised for meat, our chickens that are broilers or our turkeys that we use in food production are white, because white you associate with cleanliness. The home edit could teach you this. And so if for some reason you found a feather on your turkey that had not gotten removed through processing, would you rather look at a white feather and think, oh, a little feather, or this brown ugly feather, and you go, ew. So we associate white with cleanliness. And so if any of those feathers ended up in packaging or processing or getting to the consumer, it's not some brown, ugly, dirty feather that you're looking at. So that's one of the reasons that our poultry products that are raised for our food production are white.
That is very interesting. I had no idea that was like a purposeful breeding. I really thought that just as other traits were bred for, that was just kind of
white.
They just turned white. I don't know. I assumed there was some lack of coloration there. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and and if you think about it, we want really uniform things in our food production because of sending them to you in the consumer world. We want you to be fairly consistent. And so typically all of the turkeys and all of the chickens bred for food production are all the same breed. There's not a whole lot of variation. So like in the cattle industry, there's lots of different breeds of cattle. And typically when you eat beef, you're eating, primarily or more meat breeds that are selected for their meat traits. A lot of people here have certified Angus beef. And that's because of their unique marbling. But so anyways, we're trying to create that consistent product. And so that's why you don't see some red, some green, some blue. We try to keep a uniform set of birds around.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if you were breeding turkeys like for laying, it wouldn't matter what color the turkeys were, but and that's something different with chickens, right? Like you've got meat chickens and laying chickens, we've got meat cattle and dairy cattle. With turkeys, we're pretty much, they're only being bred for eating.
Yeah, we don't eat a lot of turkey eggs around here.
Right.
But fun fact though, even our laying chickens are predominantly white. Now there are like lots of laying breeds of chickens that people raise, and they're not all white. But our traditional layers are white, and that's kind of the same thing as if you had a feather in your crate or a feather got stuck to the egg, it would be white. So
got it.
Fun facts this morning.
That's interesting. Okay, so that kind of highlights what I would say are one type of turkey, is that there are domestic turkeys in Texas, not meaning that they're out and about, but that people raise domestic turkeys, or there's production of domestic turkeys. And then our other big group is wild turkeys, and we have 2 different subspecies of wild turkeys that live in Texas. And so pretty much throughout throughout most of Texas, we have Rio Grande wild turkeys, and that kind of runs like just through the central part of the state. And the National Wild Turkey Federation has a great map that I can put on Facebook so people can see if they're interested. And then over in the eastern portion of the state, we have eastern wild turkeys. And overall, when we look at like where turkeys occur across the United States, eastern wild turkeys are pretty much like everywhere in the eastern portion of the country. So they're the most common
eastern
subspecies. Yes, the eastern. And then there's Rio Grande wild turkey. Now, this even gets a little bit to our last week discussion about splitting and lumping, just because we're talking about, I won't go into it too much, but we're talking about subspecies. So for example, where the eastern wild turkeys and the Rio Grande wild turkeys overlap a bit, you also get some that are just considered hybrids of the 2 of those, because again, they're subspecies, they're not different species. Yeah, so we can kind of get a mix of the 2. Now, in other parts of the country, there's other subspecies occurring. There's a total of 5 subspecies across the country. But then there's also a species that occurs down in Mexico. The ocellated turkey is actually a different species than our wild turkeys that we have up here. So 5 different subspecies, but then there's another species. So sometimes, now I'll roll this into talking about birds that we shoot. People will talk about getting like a grand slam of turkeys if they're a turkey hunter, and that means they want to get all the different subspecies, and including if you can get an ocellated turkey. That requires a trip out of country. Even to get a Gould's wild turkey, those occur in the very southeastern corner of Arizona, but they also occur then down into Mexico. So that's another one that sometimes people will travel out of country to get, but the other you can get throughout just the US.
So birders also could get a grand slam of turkeys.
Of seeing them, yes. Absolutely.
Seeing them and maybe not hunting them if they're not hunters. So that would be fun. I wonder if you're watching this and you have a grand slam of turkeys by seeing them, I want to know. Oh, I've got a giveaway.
Oh no.
I want to know somebody who has had a grand slam of turkeys and seeing them. So if you know somebody, tell them the first person I find that has a grand slam of turkeys will receive a free Birding the Word t-shirt.
That would be pretty cool. I
want to know. I think that would be cool to see who has got their grand slams.
Mm-hmm. And I know hunters who have, but it's very challenging. And so, I know hunters who have tried. I know hunters who have gotten the 5 that are in the US, but not an ocellated. But I do know there's actually a hunter who lives near Uvalde that's gotten all of them. But and he has amazing turkeys on his ranch too. Just turkeys everywhere.
Turkeys. Yeah. So we did have a question on Instagram this week because I put out, what did you want to hear about Cup Chat? And somebody wanted to hear about turkeys. And great, we're talking about turkeys today. And why they have beards.
Oh, that's a great question that I don't 100% know the answer to.
I have whiskers sometimes, but I just pluck those. Not that everybody needed to know that, but
Yeah, that beards, so it's an ornamentation, like a lot of other, features of a turkey. And so, why do the males have the great big, gorgeous tail feathers as they're strutting? This would be an interesting question. I will need to, we may have to do some follow up on this as to if that particular aspect of them has been studied. But in general, when we're talking about like really fancy things that birds have, whether it's big fancy tails or just bright colors, right? The males tend to be really brightly colored, whereas the females are a little more plain. It usually just has to do with trying to attract those females. And so a turkey with a really long beard is something that, say, a hunter,
Cooler than a turkey that doesn't.
is
They
cooler
pick up
than a
more
turkey that
turkeys at the
doesn't.
bar.
Yeah, it's very analogous to a white-tailed deer having large antlers. It's that similar, like, the bigger males are usually going to have longer beards, and it's more attractive to the females. So
I just think that that's so funny. How does a girl turkey know that a beard is supposed to be cute?
That's an interesting discussion. There's actually several different hypotheses for why males of any species have evolved these, like, ridiculous ornamentations, and where, what keeps it from going too far, right? Because like with deer antlers, or same thing with beards. It may not seem like it, but or some of our really brightly colored birds, if beards are super sexy, then why aren't there turkeys with beards that are like, hanging all the way to the ground? And it's because those features can be a liability too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a deer and your antlers are so huge that you can't make it through the brush when a predator's chasing you, like, that's a problem.
I still just don't think that the girl turkeys and the girl deer know that the beard is supposed to be cute, or that the antlers are supposed to be, that's how I pick my mate, is by the antlers. I mean, do they really think about that?
I don't know that they think about it so much. It's just kind of something that's, it's like if you see an attractive person, you don't think about, oh, why is this person attractive? There's just certain features,
so.
Even though research has shown that there's like certain features that are fairly universally attractive. I think it gets a little more complicated with people, but they can't help it. They just like the long beards. I don't know. We could totally
those ladies like those long beards.
Yeah, they do. We could totally do a separate cup chat though about like breeding plumage for birds and like the theories as to why that happens, because there's a few different things discussed.
That's funny.
But that's a good question. Funny. I'm gonna have to find. I'll have to look and see if for turkeys there's a specifically known, because it is different, right? Like, yeah, the big tails and the flashy colors, those are something we see in other species, but it's interesting to have that particular feature that's different from, like the beard is like an add-on. There are other birds that have, it's not like, oh, there's a beautiful red male cardinal and it also has a long beard. It's not like that. So,
well, and I think the odd piece is though, like thinking about that, and that's a hair.
Well, it's feathers, yeah.
But the beard is more hair, right?
No, it's still feathers. Yeah, because they only have feathers. Yeah.
But it feels hairish. It doesn't look like a feather.
Right. Yeah, it's just a different sort of structure. Because everything that grows out of a bird is feathers, not hair.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It looks like hair.
It looks like hair. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but is it hair? I mean,
no.
Could it be hair?
No.
There's no way.
Are
you sure?
I'm pretty darn sure. You're making me question myself. But I mean, mammals have hair, birds have feathers.
So. Well, I know. That's kind of my point. And I'm not saying it's 100. You're Googling, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
In the middle of cup chat, we're gonna Google now.
Mm-hmm.
You're breaking all the rules.
Is that a rule?
So, okay, because like think about it, sheep are supposed to have wool. And we actually now have sheep that have hair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we have sheep that have hair along with wool. I mean, I think it could be.
It's hair like feathers. It's feathers.
Hair like feathers.
The thing is that the structure of a hair and a feather are different. Like hair versus fur is like still made of the same stuff.
Right. No.
And feathers are similar, but like birds.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Oh, I love when Emily makes. Oh, hey Stephanie, thanks for joining us. Stephanie joined us for Learn to Bird. She says, I love when Emily makes you second guess yourself.
Good.
Well, Stephanie, I was actually looking, when I was looking through pictures last night to post on Instagram, I was looking for, I ran across your lifer picture again, and I just still think that's the coolest. So,
Ooh, what was
lots of
her
love,
lifer?
Stephanie. Oh, remember Stephanie from Blooming Bird?
No,
And we made
yeah.
big signs?
Her lifer for us. Yes, I thought maybe
Yes.
she had something else new.
Oh,
And
I'm sure she has something new, but
yeah,
we're not cool enough to get like daily text messages of her lifers, Maureen.
Well,
we might think we should be.
That'd be super fun. Yeah,
it would be.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what else do we have to talk about turkeys? I mean, we kind of talked about the. Oh, let's go back to. Did we talk enough about why we shoot turkeys and why they're considered a game species versus other birds?
That was what I wanted to talk about. Is why is it okay on a show where we're normally talking about
not shooting the birds
that we see and not shooting the birds? Why is it okay to talk about birds that we are going to shoot? That's a good question. Yeah, so turkeys, I think I'm trying to remember we've talked about so many things before. I don't remember what all we've covered, but turkeys are very much a conservation success story because like many of our game species and non-game species in the US, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they had been hunted pretty much to extinction. And that's where there's a really big important line between unregulated hunting and regulated hunting, because back then it was, hunting was kind of Wild West, no rules, shoot whatever. And additionally,
kind of like Cup Chat today.
Yes. But additionally, it wasn't just that in addition to the fact that there were no limits on hunting, there was a lot of, I think this is the part we talked about before, there was a lot of commercialization of those products that were hunted. So like for those birds that were being sold, like for feathers to go on hats. And so this was true of, shooting turkeys and selling that meat for, to the markets here, both here in North America and over in Europe. And so that was something that had just completely decimated turkey populations. And they are something that in some areas they've recovered faster than others, but overall turkeys across the United States are doing really, really well. And so we have plenty of those. And so just like we have with certain other game species, we've decided that turkeys are something that are, that are worth hunting because they provide subsistence. So kind of generally speaking, we've kind of decided, collective that shooting a bird so that you can put its feathers on your hat, like that's not a good use of the animal. And
it's not like you're going to be able to eat a painted bunting.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
It's not going to have a whole lot of food.
Right. And so when we're talking about like those small kind of, those species that really the only thing you would use them for is like decoration, that's not enough of use of that animal. Whereas something like turkeys, wait, why is that funny?
About my decorating closet and me having stuffed little birdies. Sorry, everyone. I thought of having all these stuffed little birds for decoration and how weird that would be. But I could color code them and organize them prettily. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that's.
I'm crying. I'm laughing so hard.
Yeah, but with turkeys, because there's something that can eat, and there's lots of families out there still. I think if you aren't a hunter, you don't know a hunter, you may not realize that there are actually a lot of families out there that subsist solely or primarily on wild game. And of course, a single turkey is not going to get you through. It's not going to get you and your family through the whole year, but it can be an important part of all those different things that you're eating. And so they're a species that we have. Now there's regulated hunting. And so in Texas, we can talk a little bit about, if you live in Texas, and this is true in some other places as well, there's a fall and a spring turkey hunting season. Depends on what county you're in. I can post online where you can find which of those is going to be the case in your county. But there's limits as to how many you can take. Sometimes there's limits as to only being able to take gobblers, which are the males, or only being able to take hens, which are the females. And so all of those things are done like very closely monitored to make sure that those populations stay in a healthy range while allowing people to provide themselves with a, healthy free range food source. And if you're interested more in kind of that field to table sort of aspect, we actually have an extension publication on that I can link below this as well.
Well, and that's an interesting point. And let's talk about that kind of, on the domestic, kind of both worlds combined, domestic turkey population and wild turkey population. if you don't control your population, if there was no hunting of turkeys, would the turkey population get completely out of bounds? And especially, you know, in some of our urban areas where we don't have the predators to control any of those populations.
Yeah, this isn't something that we necessarily think about as much because it doesn't happen to the extent that it does, at least not here in Texas. Like we can think about urban white-tailed deer, and that can cause a problem if we don't have, or if we have, you know, just crazy numbers of deer in an urban area. But there are actually places where that can happen with turkeys as well. And so I did my PhD in Logan, Utah, and there actually, we had a class, one of my wildlife classes, that we got to go out to a to a town that was near Logan and trap turkeys where they're live trap, where there were too many of them, and they were actually taking them up to Idaho to places where there were fewer. And so, you know, with deer, there's sometimes that's done, but there's kind of, in a lot of Texas, there's too many deer everywhere. And so sometimes if they're trapped from one area, you know, they end up being lethally removed and then the meat is donated. With turkeys, especially in areas where, like in Utah, oh, excuse me, I'm afraid I'm going to sneeze.
Oh, no. Well, I'll kind of add that up. Is like on our property in the back, we get some turkeys, and we get quite a few turkeys. And, you know, I think that we used to, we don't anymore because I prefer a good fried turkey from the store. It used to be our family's tradition to have turkey for Thanksgiving, a wild turkey. And but anyways, there's just if you think about it, there's when they come off their roost, they can be quite plentiful. And if there was no control measures, I think that there could be a population issue at some point. Not like tomorrow, or, you know, it'd take a couple of years, but we would get to a point where we were like, oh my gosh, too many turkeys at our house.
Yep. Yeah. And so that's where they'll move them. In Utah, being close to Idaho, they'll move them up there to where there's not as many. But there are towns where they've had problems with like turkeys being aggressive, because the males can be fairly aggressive, and it's not something that you think of as like a threat. But if they're not afraid of you and they're coming after you, the males have pretty significant spurs, and it's just, you know, when we think about all of our different wildlife populations and keeping things regulated and in balance, then turkeys are something that we have decided that, you know, is good to hunt. And there's a lot of reasons, you know, the AgriLife talks about the benefits of hunting, you know, that we can share with people, and that it can be a healthy way to keep ecosystems and animal populations at good numbers, again, when it's done in a regulated manner and in a manner that makes sense, you know, and something that's going to use that animal well. And so, yes, that's why we hunt turkeys as opposed to other animals. And then if you think about, you know, why do we breed turkey? You know, why don't we have painted bunting farms? Because again, like you said, they would not make good eating, right? So we've bred turkeys because they're a large bird, right? And they're something that can provide a good source of protein.
Well, and our wild turkeys, compare a wild turkey to a domesticated turkey. We have selectively bred those turkeys to be as efficient as possible. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that, like in the livestock world, in the agricultural world, efficiency kind of gets a bad rap because we are doing something to be more efficient. Well, and at the end of the day, if we don't do something to be more efficient, then we take more resources, we take more land, we take more everything. And so it's got to be that fine balance of breeding and selecting for turkeys that are the most efficient, that convert their feed. I mean, when I talk about converting feed, and a lot of people don't know this, all of our 98% of our large, I shouldn't give a percentage because I don't know, but a lot of our large scale food production farms that are not like turkey houses, those are usually typically because of the management. That's not me in my backyard who has a few cows and a few domestic turkeys out there. That's not quite how we raise turkeys. So people who raise turkeys, they raise turkeys. And they have most of the time they have a licensed animal nutritionist who comes in and makes a special ration that meets the needs of the turkeys. I mean, it's very regulated on what these turkeys eat, how much, if there's any electrolytes or electrolytes, kind of like a Gatorade. It's a good example. Like if there's any electrolytes in their water, things like that. So everything's so regulated in those turkey houses to make those birds so efficient so that from hatch to consumption that we're taking the least amount of resources, water, land, feed, to put in those turkeys to give you a good product. And think about how much bigger a regular turkey is, like a domesticated turkey is versus a wild turkey. And that's because of genetic selection, but also because those birds are so much more efficient. I mean, I probably couldn't even feed a wild turkey enough food to get him to where a domesticated turkey has reached their potential. I mean, I just don't think there's a possibility just because we've selected for those to be so efficient, which is kind of marvelously impressive to me. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think it's impressive how we can support so many different goals to provide food for people.
Well, it's very interesting, kind of just touching on more of the agriculture portion of what our agency does. Is interesting to learn about. But do you want to share one more fun fact? What are those turkeys primarily eating in the wild? What's the most important food for wild turkeys?
I'm gonna guess. You're trying to trick me. Because I've got two guesses, and I'm pretty sure that it's the first one, but I don't think it's really right because it doesn't sound right. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Because you like Forbes.
I do like Forbes.
You like Forbes. And so I'm guessing turkeys eat Forbes.
They do eat Forbes. I don't know if it's fair for me to be the one to declare what's the most important turkey food source.
Okay. And then my second guess is they probably like some sort of seedage.
They do like seeds, including seeds that are going to come from Forbes. But just like we talk about with our songbirds, insects are one of the most important foods for turkeys, because just like you were talking about with this is what made me think of this, is with the domestic turkeys, getting those rations that are basically, you want to make sure that it's high in protein and high in fat and high in all those nutrients. Insects are one of the best ways to do that. And this is true for our quail as well. So I'm not a turkey researcher. I just know the basics about turkeys. So I probably shouldn't be the one to declare that insects are the most important. But just like with our quail, when you've got a little newly hatched turkey poult, that's primarily what they're going to be eating, is a lot of insects. And so that's where your Forbes to support your insects are really important. And then they'll also eat the Forbes.
So turkeys roost in trees. And if you've never seen turkeys unroost, you need to go find you a turkey spot to watch them unroost. I actually was with Maureen when I saw my first turkey unroost. That is the coolest thing ever. It was very cold and very early. I don't recommend it.
It was April, but it was cold.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Anyways, and you had kept us up all night, like doing a deer survey. I was out. And then I think I slept on a cot that night. Did I sleep on a cot?
I think so.
Yeah. Just FYI, guys, don't let Maureen take you. I'll take you. So turkeys roost in trees. Do they lay their nests up there, or do they lay them on the ground? I know the answer.
That is.
But I'm just saying, I'm asking you the question. I don't want people to think I'm stupid, but
no, that is.
I know the answer.
That's a good question. Yeah, turkeys are ground nesting birds. Yeah, they roost in the trees, meaning that's where they sleep, but their nests actually go on the ground, and they're pretty simple. Like there's not much to a turkey nest. It's kind of just a little scrape. Nothing fancy, and they lay their eggs there on the ground. So when we talk about, again, turkey, like features of turkey habitat that are similar to quail habitat, having like bunch grasses and places that they can put those nests is really important. Making sure that you have enough cover for your turkeys to find a good nest spot. And then is what we don't think about with quail, we don't think about those roost sites, but it's really important that you take care of your roost trees if you have turkeys on your property, because they need those for sure.
Now define our roost trees. Like, I mean, a mesquite tree, a weeset's tree, not good roost trees.
A mesquite tree can be okay.
It's got to be a good mesquite tree. It can't be a
mesquite tree, right? It can't be a mesquite that you tried to kill and then came back, and then it's just this nasty little bush thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big mesquite tree. Oaks are fantastic. Great big live oak would be a fantastic roost. But yes, we actually, there's an entire publication about roost trees for Rio Grande turkeys. So, but yeah, you want to make sure that you're taking care of that roost spot so that you can continue to have turkeys using that resource. So where can people see turkeys during burning the border on a roost?
Oh, they can't.
I thought we could. I thought at McKenna.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yes.
I thought you were talking about the other place. I was like,
yeah.
No, they can't.
No.
So,
at McKenna.
but yeah. So the fun fact is that is true. So we are gonna start you out at McKenna Ranch near the turkey roost. So the chances of seeing turkeys on McKenna, highly likely. Also, you know where else you probably get to see a couple turkeys?
Fort Clark.
Fort Clark.
Usually right. Yeah, but we just might
And
not see
you
them
can
on
see
the
all
roost.
the access and whitetail deer you want.
True.
So
True.
yeah, those would be two great turkey spots if you want to see a turkey. And that was something that we underestimated our first year of birding the border. People wanting to see the turkey, and we just saw one, right?
We saw
Fly
that one like
across
off
the
the
road.
side of the road. Yeah.
That's so fun. We were talking about, I was kind of reminiscing, and I know we're going long, but it's just one of those good cup chats. So the other day, I was reminiscing last night as I was working on birding the border stuff, and I realized at this point, our first year of birding the border, we had filled up, and we had like, what did we cap it at our first year? 16 participants? Yes.
A lot. Yeah.
So we had filled up our first year of birding the border by Thanksgiving, all hearts and moments. And technically, if we were having a small birding the border like we traditionally have, we would be full this year. But lucky for everybody, we do have 70 slots a day going out on 6 different trips, coming back to one location for some wonderful birding with extension seminars. But so we are getting full. So if you haven't registered, please register. And we do only have those 2 spots left for our beginner track. Oh, you have an announcement.
Uh-oh, I do?
You do.
About what?
So we have some sad news. Okay, I know you're thinking, just hold on. Just follow me. Follow the train. So we have some sad news. Unfortunately, Dorian Anderson is unable to come this year to birding the border, and he was our photography track leader. And we know we have 2 people who have registered, and so we're sorry. We hope that you love our new guide just as much. And so we have arranged to have a new guide and a new speaker at our Birding with Extension dinner. And Maureen has that in her little bag of tricks. And I'll let you announce it.
Ooh, yeah, I'm glad I know the answer to this. Yes.
You don't have to Google it up.
No, I know this one off the top of my head. Yes. So Laura Keane has agreed to be our photography guide and our keynote speaker. I don't have her information up on the website yet, but I will have it up there soon. And she is known for doing a big year in the United States for seeing as many bird species as she could, but also a photography big year, meaning she wanted to take pictures of as many species as she could. And I don't remember what her number was. If you want to hear all the details, you have to come to Birding the Border and come to the dinner with her. But what I do know is that she blew the previous record out of the water. Like the photography record, she photographed way more species than anybody had before during a photography big year. And I believe that was in 2013. It was several years ago. But she just got tons of pictures of species. So I think if you are a photographer wanting to learn about birding photography, but also wanting to get pictures of lots of species, she has experience doing that. And again, for people who are interested in our photography focus track, you can sign up for all 3 days photography if you want, or you can just choose to kind of dabble in photography. And those sites will be a mixture of in blinds, just sitting and getting really good shots of birds, and walking around and taking pictures of birds out in their environment.
Which I think it's an interesting thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, she does both. She's very much an active both. And I think that that's one thing that we appreciate is the ability for her to share her tips and tricks doing both.
Yes.
Because I love everybody out there who sits in blinds and has the patience to do that. I do not. Because if the birds don't come, or if the deer doesn't come, or if anything doesn't come to the blind, I go crazy because I do not have the patience. I remember, I know I'm so long, but I've got to tell this story. So ex-boyfriend, many moons ago, we went pig hunting and we sat in this blind. And I've gone pig hunting before where you don't sit in the blind and it's so fun. Well, they dropped me off in the blind by myself. I am scared of the dark, mind you, like deathly scared of the dark. Like even to this day, even as a 30-year-old grown, have my big girl panties on, scared of the dark, 110%. And I'm not really scared of the dark. I'm scared of what could be in the dark.
Fair.
And so I'm in this blind and they put me in there and they're like, the pigs will come. The pigs will come. No pigs come ever. And at this point, I'm just sitting there by myself in the blind. It's getting dark. It's getting cold. And they're like, you can't turn your phone on. The light will scare the pigs away. What am I supposed to do? Sit here with my thoughts? I'll go crazy. So I end up like making a pallet in the blind and just kind of laying down and just kind of, I don't even remember. But the worst part was at the end of it, I have to get out. I have to get out of the blind and walk back to the truck and it's dark. And I'm like,
In the dark.
whose idea was this? Whose? And so I think I could handle sitting in a bird blind for an extended period of time because the fact that the walk from the blind back to the truck would be in the daylight.
True.
I'm sitting in blinds at night and having to walk back to the truck.
True. And thankfully, if you join us for birds, bats, and owls, we will not be sitting in a blind. We'll be together.
Well, and there's lights, and we have little flashlights.
lights.
You can use your flashlight. Hunting, you can't use your flashlight, apparently.
No.
Heaven forbid. Scare the pigs away. So. Oh, Beth commented, Laura had 2016
Holy
for
moly.
her big year.
Holy moly.
Or is
Yeah.
she saying that was the year she did it?
Oh, I was gonna say 2016 because I thought it was just within the US and that would be way more species than we had. But if she went down to South America, then we could be on the right track.
I'm hoping Beth is still watching and she's going to give us a clarification there.
Well, and
We
again,
could Google that. You could
could
jump on
Google that.
Google like you
I
did
think-
earlier.
Oh, like I did earlier. That's true.
Oh,
Well,
that was the year.
That was
Beth-
the year. Okay.
Yes,
I
thank
was
you,
gonna
Beth.
say,
Yeah,
I thought she was just in the US, and that would be more species than we
it
have.
would be quite a challenge.
Kind of an impossible one. Yeah.
Anyways, we have gone over our allotted time by 16 minutes. But I feel like we have just had a fun time and can't wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Oh, Beth is nice. She told me, duh, it's in the morning, Beth, already. So, anyways, long story, what was I saying? Oh, everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We are obviously way past our time today. We've had so much fun talking about turkeys, talking about what I'm obsessed with. We organized the birding closet. And I hope
Talking about what you're afraid of.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really need to tell everybody who's afraid of the dark. But I'm definitely afraid of the dark. Not of the dark, but what's in the dark.
In the dark, right.
But
Fair.
there could be.
Fair.
But I think that comes from some dreams as a child. I mean, we probably need to see a dream expert. Because I used to have dreams like that coyotes would get me in the dark, or that I had a reoccurring dream was about alligators. I mean, like I had some weird dreams in the dark that
Yeah.
probably did not help my fear of the dark at all.
Probably not. That's fair. That's fair.
So, anyways, happy Thanksgiving, Maureen.
Yes,
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone who's joining us. We are super glad and happy that you joined us this Thanksgiving morning. We hope that if you have to go to work today, I hope you hide in your hole and you have no big issues. And it's a smooth day before Thanksgiving. That's what I'm hoping for everybody. And whether you're eating turkey, ham, or whatever you have for Thanksgiving, I do want to remind you to thank, this is my aw moment, everybody wait, aw. I remind you to thank a farmer who helped produce your food to make our Thanksgiving memorables, and especially since we think about a lot of food on Thanksgiving. Lots of times we, I'm reading all the comments. The bad thing about having the Facebook open so I can see questions come in is all the sweet comments. Stephanie and Beth wishes happy Thanksgiving, Maureen. But, thank a farmer for your food. I saw the other day on Facebook. If you don't know, farmers actually get a very minute percentage of the food cost. And so we work really hard every day to put food out there for everyone to enjoy. So thank a farmer for 2 seconds as you are thankful for everything else on Thanksgiving. Maureen, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you too, and to everybody out there.
Are we back next week, or are we taking a week off?
Yes.
Remember, we're most weeks.
We are back next week, and I don't have my calendar sitting next to me. I don't remember what we're talking about.
Oh, I have mine. It says we're talking about birds on the welder.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember if that was next week or 2 weeks from now. So next week, then that means we're going to be talking about mist netting and MAPS stations, which are a really cool long-running way of just keeping track of bird populations in a given area. And yeah, I'm super excited for next week. So
wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. If you haven't registered for Birding the Border, let us know, or if you have any questions, reach out. We're all game. We hope to see all of you. And thank you, Stephanie and Beth, for commenting. If you are watching and you haven't commented where you're from or where you're joining us from, please let us know. We enjoy our weekly cup chats with y'all, and we hope y'all love us. Sometimes I feel like I go off on some random tangents, but I hope you have fun. So, all right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Stay in your holes.